In this Knife Thoughts video, we're going to be looking at this knife. And first off here, this knife was a gift from Paddy of Paddy's Potato Peelers. So Paddy's Potato Peelers is a YouTube channel, and he also has an Instagram. And what I really like about his YouTube channel and his YouTube videos is that he just has a genuine excitement and love for knives. So you can really kind of see that coming through. I think he says what he thinks in a genuine or authentic way, and he's got lots of different videos on lots of different types of knives, from budget modern knives to high-end traditional knives like GECs, and lots of things in between like this, which kind of splits the difference here. So don't forget to check out Paddy's Potato Peelers on YouTube. He's got lots of great videos, like I said, definitely worth checking out. And also on Instagram. He's been posting more on Instagram, so check out his Instagram also. Lots and lots of good stuff, and it was really nice of him to send me this knife. So this is a SanRenMu. When I got it, I couldn't find much out about it because it just has this marking in, I'm not sure which language that is, but it's not one that I can read. But Paddy said that this is a SanRenMu that he got, relatively inexpensive. I don't know how much it was, but I think a budget knife. But it's a really interesting little knife. If you want to try to look it up yourself, it does have this number on here. I'm not going to read all that off, but you can take a look at it and see if you can find it with that. But it's a cool little knife. So as you can see, it's a slip joint. So there's no lock. It's not one-hand openable. You can't get a hold of that to open it one-handed. And it has a relatively strong backspring. I would call it something like a 7, something like that. 7 out of 10, 6.5 maybe. So it is a slip joint. So something that you could carry a lot of places, with the fact that it doesn't have a lock, and that it's not one-hand openable, and that it's a pretty small knife. As you can see, it's pretty small. I'd say about a 2-inch, maybe a little bit over 2-inch blade, and not too much longer of a handle there. The handle is pretty nice looking. This is one thing that I haven't had too much of, which is an inlay. And it's inlaid here into an aluminum handle, an aluminum frame. As you can see, it's a gray aluminum, anodized gray. But then it has this pretty nice looking carbon fiber inlay. And I haven't really had too many knives that had inlays, so it's kind of interesting to see this and to see how well it holds up. Now, it does look like this knife maybe came with, or could have, if you have a pocket clip that would fit this, it could have a pocket clip. It has these 2 holes here. Now, being that this is so small and that it's not one-hand openable, I also wouldn't put a pocket clip on it. I don't know if Paddy carries this with a pocket clip or not, but I wouldn't put a pocket clip on it just because it is so small and you can't one-hand open it. But it also has a little key ring hole or lanyard, whichever you like. I think that this is small enough that you could put it on a key ring or a keychain without it being too bulky. So, interesting little knife. I like small slip joints. I've got a good number of them, and this one is a nice one. Now, one thing, this hole that you can use to kind of like a nail nick, it's really close to the pivot, and the closer it is to the pivot, the less leverage you have, right? So I more so just pinch that hole rather than using it like a nail nick to open this. Speaking of the action, you can see it's pretty snappy. I mean, like I said, it does have about a 6.5 inch or 6.5 out of 10 pull. But one interesting thing is that this knife has kind of a 3/4 stop. So if I close it, it stops right there. And this is something that I've always thought that a half stop, when it stops more here, that would cut your finger if it closed that far, right? So I've always thought that something like this, a 3/4 open or a 1/4 close stop, would be more practical in making the knife more safe. So it's interesting to see that. Now, Spyderco does something relatively similar with their slip-it knives. It's basically, let's see if I can get this to focus. It's a little notch. You see that notch there. So it goes in the notch, and then you have to get it over that notch, and it holds it open. So it's an interesting little feature. one that Spyderco has used some, but something that I have thought about on these slip joints. So that's nice. I like that feature, and it's an interesting thing to find on a knife like this. But it's just a cool little knife. I sharpened it up and put it, in my pocket, and have carried it every now and then since I got it. And it's an interesting little thing. As you can see, it has kind of a modified sheep foot, almost maybe towards like a lamb foot. Now those are pretty popular with Gradation Cutlery making a lamb foot knife, probably the first made in America on their new 93 pattern. So I guess I could call this a lamb foot style blade, where the spine is angled down towards the edge. But the edge isn't perfectly straight, it has a little bit of belly, so it's definitely a modified sheep foot or modified lamb foot. And then as for the grip, on a tiny little knife like this, you're going to be using it like this for sure with a pinch grip. But I do get 2 fingers in this little main grip area, and then the third kind of hangs off the end there. So relatively comfortable, very easy to carry. It's lightweight because of that aluminum and carbon fiber handle. So I can throw this in a watch pocket and not really even think about it until I need to use it. So again, I really appreciate Paddy sending this to me all the way from across the ocean there. I just sent him some stickers, so it was a really nice surprise, and I really appreciate it. And again, don't forget to check out his YouTube channel and Instagram feed, Paddy's Potato Pillars. If you search that, you'll find it. And then finally, don't forget to check out my Instagram feed and Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr at Knife Thoughts, and my blog and website at knifethoughts.com. You can subscribe by putting your email in for updates. And finally, don't forget to go out and do good.